The Army of India Medal was issued in 1851 and is the last of three medals issued retrospectively for campaigns fought during the Napoleonic Wars. That said, very few of Napoleon's troops were involved with any of the actions covered by the medal. Largely overshadowed by its contemporaries, the Military General Service Medal and the Naval General Service Medal, covered by the last two videos, the Army of India Medal nevertheless is an important part of British military history. The medal was instituted and paid for by the Honourable East India Company, but sanctioned by the Crown, and was issued to surviving members of the company's private army and the British armed forces that were present for several wars and campaigns in India and Burma between 1803 and 1826. The British had had a presence in India for several centuries prior to 1800, but with increasing resistance from several Indian states, along with the possibility of a French invasion of Egypt by Napoleon, putting India under threat of invasion by an overland march, the British government sent increasing numbers of regular troops to the subcontinent, among them in 1797 the 33rd Regiment, with the then Colonel Arthur Wellesley. Several battles and sieges followed, including the hard-fought victory at Seringapatam, but it was not until the Battle of Aligarh in September of 1803 that the first bar for the Army of India Medal was awarded. 20 more were to follow, the last for Bhurtpore 23 years later. For his service in India, Arthur Wellesley would be awarded the medal with 3 bars, those for Asai, Argoram and Gawaligar. As we now know, as Lord Wellington, he went on to greater victories in the Peninsula and finally Waterloo. As a result of his service in India, General Napoleon once dismissed Wellesley as a mere sepoy general, but as history shows, sometimes sepoy generals can defeat European dictators. The medal's design is very similar to its contemporaries. Made of fine silver, it is 36 mm in diameter, suspended from its ribbon by an ornate silver suspender. The ribbon is pale blue. The clasps, again made from silver, are decorated with roses. Unusually, on this medal, the clasps are fitted with the last clasp fitted closest to the disc, so that the order of battles must be read downwards. The medal was never issued without a clasp. The obverse, or front, is nearly identical to the MGS and the NGS. Designed by William Wyon, a left-facing profile of the young Queen Victoria with the legend Victoria Regina. The reverse features a seated picture of Victory. Her right hand holds a laurel branch, her left a wreath. Behind her are some palms and a case of arms. At the top run the words, "To the Army of India," and in the exurg the dates 1799 to 1826. It is interesting to note that once again the dates on the medal do not correspond to the dates of the clasps. There can be a small variation in otherwise identical medals with this date. The hyphen between the date can be one of 2 different lengths, known appropriately as long or short hyphens. It is believed that the longer hyphen were minted and sent out to India to be issued to those still in the country at the time of issue, while the shorter hyphen medals went to veterans in the UK. As the issue date for the medal was in 1851, at least 25 years after the last campaign, and in extreme cases 48 years after the first, the vast majority of eligible recipients had passed away, and of the tens of thousands of servicemen who should have received this award, only some 4,500 were finally issued. All the medals were issued named around the edge in impressed Roman capitals, usually with the recipient's name, rank and regiment. 21 clasps were issued over the 23-year period for 4 different wars and 1 siege. 10 clasps were awarded for the Second Maratha War in 1803 to 1804. 8 clasps were awarded for the Third Maratha War from 1817 to 1818. 1 clasp each for the wars of Nepal and Ava. And finally 1 clasp for the siege of Bhurtpore in 1825 to 1826. It is for this final siege that the medal we have in our collection was awarded, to John G., a drummer in the 59th Foot. The first attempt to take the fortress at Bhurtpore in 1805 had ended in failure, and so the city remained beyond British control. a situation that made the directors of the East India Company in London somewhat nervous. In 1825, and on the advice of Lord Wellington, they appointed General Stapleton Cotton, Lord Combermere, for the task. Combermere, a Peninsular veteran, sailed for Calcutta on the East India Company ship Thalia and, after a prolonged voyage, arrived on the 2nd of October 1825. The fortress had been erected in the early 1700s and enhanced over the years. By the time Combermere arrived, it was 8 miles in circumference and surrounded by 35 clay and horse dung semicircular bastions, which had been baked rock hard by the sun. The fortress was considered impervious to artillery, while its defences were enhanced by a 150-foot wide and 59-foot deep dry moat, which could be filled by diverting water from a nearby lake. Combermere reached Burtport on the 10th of December 1825. On arrival, troops were dispatched to capture the lake to the northwest of the fort to prevent the enemy flooding the area as they had done so in the 1805 siege. By the middle of December, the fort was surrounded by British forces, and skirmishes occurred on a daily basis. The siege continued until the night of the 18th of January, when 2 breaches were made and mines exploded, and within 2 hours the fort had been stormed and taken. The 59th Foot were in the thick of the fighting during the final attack, and John G's role as a drummer, despite his young age, as he was almost certainly a young teenager, would have been vital in communicating orders throughout the regiment. Unfortunately, I can find no further information on John G. I cannot locate his service records, nor can I find any definitive census information to tell me what happened to him after his service in India. Fortunately for us, his Medal of India still survives, and I am proud to say that I am its current custodian. Join us again next time, when, with the vagaries of medal issuing, we go forward in time to go back in time for a second visit to the Punjab, and medals for the Second Sikh War.